Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before we get this epistle started, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to our beloved Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, our beloved Lord and Savior, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harachak, Wadash. Double honor as always to our beloved elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, who we learn the truth from daily, whether you hear forbear. And a sincere salutation as always to the rest of the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, which consists of our sincere elders and Akim of Great Millstone and the Akim on down that teach the likewise doctrine and all truth and sincerity with diligence. The speckled bird Hebrews alike foreigners scattered among the heathen that look like the heathen, the sincere Akim of the nation of Israel that rehearse the righteous acts of Yahweh Bashem Shah in truth and sincerity, and the sincere Akwath that listen in silence and meekness as the scriptures command to do so. And Shabbat Shalom as well. And this video right here, I'm gonna try through the spirit to touch upon two of these new different developments and this contactless payment technology, these things leading up to the Motb. So this will be another road to the Motb video, and Ottawa and Ratazaz edifying and straight to the point to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. All right, so right here, this article right here on biometricupdate.com, it says new verifier tool for MDL's digital credentials launches from Git Group. All right, now I'm gonna read the article to get more of an explanation on what this is actually talking about and what this is. Git Group has launched its new universal verifier solution for mobile driver's licenses, which are the MDLs. A post from the company says that the product, which it unveiled during the AAMVA International Conference in Phoenix, Arizona, aims to deliver secure, fast, and interoperable digital identity verification for a wide range of industries. So you should already know where this is going. All right, a while back, Donald Trump, he was talking about launching a what do you call it? A worldwide, something like a worldwide database where he would basically link people's identities to a central database so they can basically track illegal immigrants and stuff like that better. Now, we already know the same stigma that they put on quote unquote illegal immigrants, which when they typically say that, even though they have plenty of these different heathen that come from other nations, like these Hamites, so-called Africans, these Ishmaelites, which are so-called Arabs, all right, just to name a few, these different, these Elamites, these so-called East Indians and Pakistanis and, Iranians and stuff like that. Even though these different heathen come in as illegal immigrants with no paperwork at all, Esau likes to make the Northern Kingdom Israelites, which are the so-called Latino and Native American tribes, the face of illegal immigration. But the point is, when you pay attention to the spirit, you can see that same energy that they have towards quote-unquote illegal immigrants when it's Northern Kingdom. That's the spirit that they intend to have towards everybody that's not a part of the beast system when it fully goes online. So these type of softwares are basically test runs for the beast system. They're basically, like they say in the science world, beta testing. They go through different phases of working out the kinks or the chinks in the armor of whatever they're trying to build before they finalize it. Just like when you write just like when people write in a book before they finally before they get to the final draft and they publish the book, they go through the rough draft and this and that, basically running through it to make sure that they get all the errors out before they actually finish it. So that's what's happening right here. Once again, they use convenience as the mask so that they can just basically play in your face. So you won't think anything of it, and before you know it, you walking into it, and you then ignored the warning that Yahweh Bashmiel Shah is giving you through his servants, the prophets. Now, I'm going to go ahead to it. It says, available through the Get Mobile ID, the verifier uses native device biometrics like fingerprint scans or face matching to confirm user identity and validate MDL. So once again, it may seem like it's convenient, but if you don't have to use it, don't use it. Because all of these things that Esau does are basically leading up to the Motb. Because when that system is online, you have to understand the Lord Yahweh Bashmiel Shai says he's going to cut the work short. All right. But how is the Lord going to do that? He's going to, like it says in the prophet Daniel, knowledge shall increase. And with that knowledge increasing, the Lord has also given us the spiritual means to observe the particular signs of the times to know what's going to lead up to that beast system. Because for the system to make it where no person can buy or sell, say they have the mark in their right hand or their forehead, that lets you know that the system will be perfected by that point, because it's still a man-made system. But the Lord is going to put them He's going to give them the ability to go through these different beta tests to work out all the chinks in the armor. So they're going to go through every possible angle so they can know for a fact that they perfected their beast system. Now reading on, it says the product can be the product can be deployed across Android, iOS, and Windows, and supports ISO IEC 18013-5 compliance. It is interoperable across Apple Wallet, Google Wallet, and Samsung Wallet. Verification can be performed online or offline via QR, NFC, and Bluetooth credential exchange. So they're basically, once again, and this is why you got to pay attention to the convenience, okay? Because very soon it's going to get to a point where every piece of technology you're used to using is all going to be centralized, and some of these things are going to be obsolete. All right, it's going to get to a point where more than likely even cell phones, everything is going to be within the C-HIP. And I watched the video done by GMS Aparium 5 a while ago, showing that I believe it was Bill Gates or one of these devils. They want to basically put a digital tattoo on people that would basically replace the cell phone. You see that? So they have all these different angles in which they're actually going about beta testing for the beast system. You see, kind of like when I'm trying to think of an era. Right, for brothers that remember it, you remember the era where, when Jake was basically watching, the whole MP3 versus iPod, and then they came out, when they was competing against, Apple, they came out with the MP4 player, but that was where it stopped at. Eventually, Apple, the iPod, and, just Apple technology in general, it basically withstood the test of time. And then, the MP3 and the iPod went obsolete, and now everybody's on iPhones. You see, nobody even talks about those things anymore. Now, you may use MP4, MP3 software just for music, but the hardware itself is gone. So likewise with this B system, they're basically using all of the different mediums that we're used to using. Like it just said, the Apple Wallet, Google Wallet, Samsung Wallet, all right, the Bluetooth on your phone, the NFC feature on your phone, all these different contactless features on your phone. They're running through all of these different softwares and features that we use with this new technology, so they can eventually make the old technology obsolete. All right, once they've showed that, okay, yeah, we got it working on these channels right here, now we can just get rid of these phones and do this and that. So the further they experiment and the closer they get to perfecting certain aspects of the infrastructure, that's how it's gonna that's what's ultimately going to lead to the future that the prophecies have already basically foretold. All right, Revelation chapter 13, which the apostle John saw in the Isle of Patmos. He saw men receiving the mark in their right hand on their forehead because they couldn't buy or sell. And this is why we always say, Adawan Ratazah would be of the elect, because we pray the Lord keeps the spirit on us, the spirit that will grow in strength and in faith, so we can say no, even if it means going back to the spirit world, because ultimately the Lord has given us the understanding that taking that Motb it's not a light offense. That's the ultimate offense that you can perform on this side as an Israelite. Okay, so you have to have the spirit on you to say no. It's not going to be because of your personality or how many niggas you beat up in the world or the fact that you are a multi-black belt in 5 different martial arts. No, the Lord doesn't care about that, because if you're not right in spirit, you're going to say yes. All right, and even if you don't say yes, the Lord could take the spirit off you, and who knows? This is why we always, starting by elder apostles on down, they always exhort brothers to stay in the spirit, to not make excuses, to do what the Lord requires of you. And, Elder Apostle Rakah, he always pushes prayer. You see? Because these things that are coming down the pipe, the scriptures call it a time like never was. So, Esau, once again, he's the devil. He gets you comfortable with convenience and all these other things that are basically going to have you soft like jelly when all hell breaks loose, when you need to be established and solid as a rock. All right? So because you got so used to technology, you got so used to seeing drones, and you got so used to seeing robots doing dances and stuff, you're underestimating the fact that the technology itself is a sign of the times. You're underestimating the fact that we're approaching those times like never has been since there's been an earth. You see? Now let me go more into this article. It says use cases listed on its LinkedIn account include age verification, hotel check-ins, car rental services, and healthcare, as well as banking, voting, and law enforcement. It comes as an SDK or standalone app, enabling flexible deployment across environments like airports, retail, and border control. See, that's the spirit. I didn't even get this far into the article when I read it recently, but that's the spirit, because like I said a while ago, I remember the article that I saw. Trump was talking about basically using more technological databases like this to make a nationwide database so he can crack down on quote unquote illegal immigration. So likewise, all these things are just beta tests for the MOTB. On the right hand side, Yahweh Bashmi Shai in his harvest, okay. So like in his vineyard, he said the harvest is plenty, but the labors are few. So he puts the spirit on different brothers within the body to take care of certain areas of the ministry, so the work can be done. But all of the work leads to the same destination, because it's like it says, many gifts, but the same spirit. So on the left hand side, because Esau thinks he's the most high, he has one sector that handles the technology, one sector that handles the military, one sector that handles the religious. But all of these roads lead to the same destination. And even within the tech industry, okay, they have it where, okay, we're gonna use this tech just for finance. They got these devils, that think tanks that worry about the finance sector. They got devils that worry about the airport sector, the retail sector, and the border control sector, just to name a few off of this list right here. The healthcare sector, rental car services, hotel check-ins, age verification. All of these things go into the prophecy where you won't be able to buy or sell. He calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. You see, because he's making it where, whether it be you having to do something that's everyday business that everybody has to take care of, like a hotel check-in or driver's license, or whether it's something more serious like border control, or going to an airport, or things that it's more so for the rich. Whether you poor or rich, he's going to make it where you have to take this CHIP. All right. Now it says, according to the Git Group website, governments who acquire this interoperable and iOS, it's like an ISO 180.13-5 compliant solution, will have updated information on citizens, reduce costs allocated to the production and replacement of physical documents, and have easier access to the implementation of social programs. All right. Now, it's the spirit, because, I was going to get another precept first, but, once it said implementation, and once it said, once it said implementation, and especially once it said the part about replacement of physical documents, I got to get the precept, bro. Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. You see? So when you get into verse 15, it says he had the power to give life unto the image of the beast, that it should speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. That goes into you being exiled of society, or actually put to death if you don't comply. All right? Because in this society, we've grown accustomed to certain consequences for not doing certain things. Like if you don't do this and that, if you get caught with a certain ticket, it'll double. And if you don't pay the ticket, it's going to double again. Or if you don't pay taxes, it's going to do that. Or if you don't do that, you'll lose your house. Or if you don't do this, you'll lose your car. Right? So ultimately, this mindset has got us conditioned to being afraid of Esau. But through Yahweh Bashmi Shai, we understand that the entire time it's been Yahweh Bashmi Shai feeding us. And the only reason why we got punished for not paying bills or not doing this or that was the Lord punishing us. Because he told us, that like Yahweh Shai said years ago, it's like 2,000 years ago, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, because we're in captivity. Okay? We have to truly go through every aspect of the captivity. It's like Yahweh Shai went through every aspect of the flesh so he can be our sacrifice. We have to go through every aspect of this captivity so we can actually be in samples unto the flock, so we can actually be those kings and priests and those judges that understand the plight of our people firsthand and through the spirit, so we can be better leaders. All right. And we have to lead by example, because, there's a lot of Jake that found out that they Hebrew Israelites, anything that gives them a green light to just break the law. Like, no, bro, we're not in our kingdom yet. You still got to go through the captivity. And that's the vexation of spirit that the righteous men go through. And that's why this is going to be a large part of the temptation, because when threatened with, losing when threatened with losing your possessions, most people will sell out. But especially when threatened with getting put to death, that's why it's going to take another spirit, a spirit not of this world, but of Yahweh Bashmi Shai, to actually say no to the Motb. It's not about being a prepper. It's not about none of that. It's about the Lord being with you. In Revelation 13:16, once more, and he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hands or in their foreheads. Now let's see why. And that no man might buy or sell save that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and get Mark real quick, what the word mark actually means in the Greek.
Strong's G 5480. Charagma. Charagma.
Charagma, outline of biblical usage, a stamp and imprinted mark of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the anti-Messiah. The mark branded upon horses, the thing carved, sculpture, graven work of idolatrous images. All right, so the charagma, the point of it is the mark of the BZ, that is literally a physical device. All right, so Bishop Nathaniel of IUIC was going off when he said that it's sitting in all of his forms, and he keeps slipping that in there every time he talks about it. He just did it again recently. So, this has to come out. It's through the spirit. All right. Now, anyway, let's get more on it, because when you go into the root word etymology of charagma, Yahweh Bashmi Shai put the spirit on, whoever made this blue letter to put this little feature in it, so we can always easily see how all these things tie into the mark of the beast. So the next root word within charagma is
Strong's G 5482. Charax. Charax.
Charax, outline of biblical usage. The root word etymology says from charaso, to sharpen to a point akin to grapho, through the idea of scratching. All right. So the charax is the delivery system, because the outline of biblical usage says a pale or stake, a palisade or rampart, pales between which earth, stones, trees, and timbers are heaped and packed together. And the point right here is it says charax in Strong's definition. It says from charaso, to sharpen to a point akin to Strong's G 1125, which is grapho, through the idea of scratching. A stake, i.e. by implication, a palisade or rampart. So the point is, this is the delivery system. This is the hypodermic needle that's going to be used to inject the Motb into the hands of those that wanted to receive the mark. All right, so the charagma itself, that's the Motb, that's the micro C-hip. And the charax, that's the delivery system, because like the other apostles always said, the Motb is the size of a grain of rice. So they can easily inject it into you via that needle. Now let's get the next root word, Strong's G 1125, and this goes into the whole replacing physical documents.
Strong's G 1125. Grapho. Grapho.
Grapho, outline of biblical usage, and the point is here in definition 2b. It says to commit to writing things not to be forgotten, to write down or to record. You see, so that's what this is all going into. Right? I'll read this article once more now that we got the precept, so you can see why I went there. It says, use cases listed on its LinkedIn account include age verification, hotel check-ins. All right. No, Salakia. It's the next paragraph. It says, according to the Git Group website, governments who acquire this interoperable and ISO Salakia 180.13-5 compliant solution will have updated information on citizens, reduced costs allocated to the production and replacement of physical documents. That's why I went there. Okay. Because once again, convenience is going to be used to push this, even from these companies to different governments. Okay, they go like, oh, this is way more efficient than having some Keisha inside of the office doing the paperwork with an attitude taking long. They're going to be like, nah, let's just do this online system. Let's just make everything digital. You see, convenience, man, and the trickle down effect is, yes, it's going to be more joblessness among Jake, especially amongst Eve. All right, so that's the point of grapho when you brothers get the breakdown of Revelation 13 and 16. All right, that grapho goes into the information that's going to be downloaded and digitized and then placed inside of the C-hip. Your bank account information, your social security, your passport information, and all important physical documents that allow you to exist in society. Their social security number, even all of that stuff. You see, because this technology is made with the thought in mind of replacing the physical stuff. You see. Now I'm gonna get some more. I want to see, could I actually get the verifier to come on, let me get this one right here. This is the other article I wanted to get. It says Tech 5 and Visa to integrate biometrics, digital wallets, and payments for DPI. And I looked up DPI. DPI's digital payments, something like that. It should be right here. Salakia. Getting ahead of myself. So it says Visa and Tech 5 will work together to integrate digital payment capabilities with biometrics, identity management, and trust infrastructure technologies under a strategic collaboration agreement. Yeah, all of this is strategic because it's going to lead up to the it's going to lead up to the B system. The 7-year agreement is intended to support the development and deployment of digital public infrastructure. And that's what DPI stands for, because there's two different acronyms. So if you type it in without, knowing which one, it's going to give you something else like it gave me earlier. But it's digital public infrastructure is what you want to look into. Around the world, according to a joint announcement, the partners plan to look into the distribution of digital identity wallets with embedded payment functionalities to secure interoperable, scalable digital ecosystems. See, so once again, like I said, these different new these different digital services that they keep pushing out and pumping out, all of these digital services are used as beta tests for the beast system. And that's the beauty of the spirit. That's the beauty of Yahweh Bashmi Shai giving his men the truth. Let's get that in Proverbs chapter 28, verse 18. Salakia. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 18. And it reads, where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Right. So the point is, we can see these things through the spirit. Like, we start to view things with a more spiritual lens because Yahweh Bashmi Shai has given us the breakdown of the scriptures. All right. 2/3 of our people, this goes right over their head. But, for those of us that are in the spirit, we can look at these things and be like, wait a minute, man. Like, hold on. This is leading into that because we know for a fact the beast system is going to come to pass. So now through Yahweh Bashmi Shai's his eye salve, we can see, all right, how these different chess moves being made leads up to what Esau is definitely trying to come to bring to pass, his end game. You see? And I found it also spiritual that they said this is a 7-year agreement, and Lord willing, we not here that long because America's coming up on its 125th birthday in 2026. And the other parts of the heart, he did a lesson going into the average age of an earth empire is 250. So, Lord willing, that's a sign from Yahweh Bashmi Shai that we almost up out of here. But for this to be a 7-year agreement, I found that spiritual because 7 means completion. And this is something this is a new software being developed that can lead into furthering the beast system. The scripture says the Lord speaks in diverse manners. Let's get that in Hebrews 1, verse 1. And it reads, the Most High Yahweh, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in time past unto the fathers by the prophets, okay, hath in these last days spoken unto us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds. You see? So the Lord, he always speaks to his prophets, all right, and he speaks to his people through the prophets, and he uses various signs. But also within that, the Lord, he brings signs on the earth, and he has the prophets interpret those signs to the rest of the people. All right. So that being said, all right, Lord willing, this 7-year agreement is a sign that the Lord's gonna hasten it, because they can say 7 years, but the Lord can make it a complete in 7 months, and it pushes the Motb along that quicker. All right. Now, let me read more on this. It says, where did I stop at? All right, right here. The partners plan to look into the distribution of digital identity wallets with embedded payment functionalities to secure interoperable and scalable digital ecosystems, right? Because the main services that the average person uses, the average person that's not rich or anything, which is the bulk of anybody, any nation, the main services that you use are payment services and ID services, because you either want to buy something or you need a license to actually go certain places. See that? So if you're not purchasing something with US dollars, you need a driver's license to drive a car. You need a passport to go on a plane. And you need various different identification. You need social security. You need driver's licenses. You need birth certificates and stuff like that to get houses and get apartments and to even initiate most legal processes. So that's how people who don't consent to this MOTB will be basically killed. That's how they'll be exiled of society. All right, treated as a no people. And for brothers that are spiritual, that's how you should realize that that's the left hand version of what happened to us as Israel. On the right hand side, the Lord, he made us a no people. He crossed us out as his people. All right, because under the first covenant, all right, if you didn't keep certain laws in Israel, you were cut off. So Esau, trying to be like the Most High under his beast system, he's like, look, if you don't take my mark upon you, you're going to be cut off and even put to death. You see, lawful to be trodden, right? So all these different things are just showing you that, look, these devils, they stay busy. Okay. So I'm going to get a little bit more, I'm going to put both of these articles in the description box of this video, Lord willing. I'm going to get something real quick and I'm going to close. Right. And I wanted to get this real quick because, it's pretty basic info, but, the fundamental things, the rudimental things, they help, that's the starting point for gaining understanding. You can't just jump into, deep waters, but it helps certain times to just have certain simple things, vocalized. So this is Visa right here. It says Visa Incorporated is an American multinational payment card services corporation headquartered in San Francisco, California. It facilitates electronic funds transfers throughout the world, most commonly through Visa branded credit cards, debit cards, and prepaid cards. Right. So that being said, Visa, because we can say these different companies, we can say, oh yeah, these companies are bringing the MOTB, but we have to also be able to expound to you believers what these things are and how, these things will play out. Why are these? What is this chess piece? What is his function? What's his position? What's his patterns? How does it move and why does it move? Right. So it says it's an American multinational payment card service corporation, right? And we understand that when the MOTB comes online, it's going to be everything, all the information that you need digitized. All right. It's not going to be any more private sector, this and that. No, the government is going to have everything. So that being said, okay, Visa being the big company that it is, you think it's going to go out of business? No. Big companies, they adapt. That's why, when companies don't adapt, they go obsolete, like, a Best Buy or a Circuit City, when, they was known for selling VCRs and DVD players, for brothers who remember that. And then, once we got to the digital age where everybody can do, the streaming services like Netflix and stuff, all right, Blockbuster, these different services went out of business. They went obsolete. But Visa, since it's already leading the charge with this, it's not going to go obsolete. Visa, more than likely, and I speak as a man, they're going to have their own. They may have their own micro C-HIP. They may say, all right, look, look, Visa no longer supports cards. We only do micro C-HIPs. And then the banks are going to be forced to comply. Who knows how it's going to go? But these are things that helps you actually start to think when you meditate through the spirit as to how things can go and what to be prepared for. Be prepared to, one day not be able to access your bank account like the elders have been saying. Be prepared to one day try to go to the store and make a purchase and they say, oh, we no longer accept this as legal tender. Be prepared to try to pay certain bills and they say, oh no, we no longer accept this form of payment. That's what this is leading up to because of the biggest, like it says, payment card service corporation goes digital with the MOTB. Then that means that the other companies, to not fall behind, to not go the way of Blockbuster, they're going to follow suit. See? Now let me get that precept from earlier. Lamentations chapter 4 sets the tone to where we at right now, because Jake think that we not in the land of our captivity. Lamentations chapter 4, and I'm gonna get verse 16. The anger of the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shah hath divided them. He will no more regard them. They respected not the persons of the priests, and they favored not the elders. And that's Jake's problem. They never listened to the priests, the elders, the prophets, the leadership the Lord sets up in Israel to guide the people into the way of life everlasting. So we end up in this situation. But now the Lord's going to have mercy, and he's going to redeem the elect. He's going to redeem those righteous priests and elders that are back in the reincarnation that are prophesying. Adar, we be among that number of believers. All right. Verse 17, as for us, our eyes have as yet failed for our vain help. You know, your vain help is believing in America, which a lot of dumbass jakes do. And our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. And that's all you need to know, because this nation, it had no intention of saving you. It's not because it lacked the power, but like elders have always said, if Esau was to pay Jake reparations, I'm not talking about just Judah. All right. I mean, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. You see that? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi all together. So that being said, every single time that you, Salaki, let me get this one more time. I'm gonna pick back up Lamentations chapter 4 verse 17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help, and our watching we have watched for a nation that could not save us. Right, and that's true, because ultimately, when you get into it deeper, the spiritual salvation, no nation can give us the salvation that we really need to heal us. All right, only Yahweh Bashmel Shah can do that, because our salvation is not going to be by the hands of man. It's going to be by the Yahweh Shah beaming us up into the church and making us immortal. All right, making us free from sin, because we've seen King David. We've read, all right, not with these eyes, but spiritually. We've been in before. We've been in King David's rulership. We've been in King Solomon's rulership. But the most that was 80 years of rulership for Israel. Not even a full 100. So it's not about money or no. We've had sovereignty. We had that. So the true salvation was always going to come from being perfect with Yahweh Bashmial Shah, something that no other nation was made to do. Now, that being said, okay, when you really get into the how do I want to say it? When you get into the nitty gritty of it, our people wait upon a nation that can't save us in two regards. One, in the regard that I just named, as far as our salvation is only going to be spiritual, not physical. And two, the fact that these Edomites, they're not giving us the means to be physically free. You see? Because they despise us. Jake don't understand that we really pissed the Lord off, so he put us in captivity under our worst enemies. The Edomites. Verse 18, they hunt our steps that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. You see? And this is ultimately the end of the 2/3. But because they think it's sweet here. They think that it's beautiful. All right? They think that this place is going to last forever. They think that all they got to do is be good niggas, be Americans. Forsake being a Hebrew Israelite, and that's no. The Lord's telling you this place has always been destined to be Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. So that means you're supposed to set your affections on things above. You see? Verse 19, our persecutors are swifter than eagles of the heaven. You see, and that is once again, the Lord is being parabolic, because Esau's symbol is the eagle. All right, they fly high, and they also watch. They watch everything you do. You see, all of these things are telltale signs of who Esau is and what spirit is really in him. Like Scripture says, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. Because he's trying to survey and watch everything you do. All right, because once that Seab gets into you, think he's not going to be watching everything. He's going to have access to your biorhythms perfectly. The phone's already spying you, so what do you think the Seab is going to do? I like that bugged out Jake that was part of that fake looking stabbing with that Ukrainian girl. All right, it's a possibility they may be able to actually remotely control these niggas that take the Motb. Lamentations chapter 4 verse 19. Our persecutors are swifter than eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. You see. So if you like in mountains upon to governments like in the other scriptures, all right, that means, whether once again going back to whether it's small or great, rich or poor, free or bond, all right. So whether you at the height of their government, you one of these top Jake officials in the government, these senators and judges or whatever, or whether you in the wilderness, whether you a lowly level Jake, Because the wilderness can be likened unto a barren place. What's that? The ghettos, the barrios, the reservations, these places. All right? And if you want to get technical, yeah, whether Jake trying to flee into the mountains or whether Jake trying to go act into the literal wilderness, Esau is basically determined to put anybody to death that is not part of his beast system when it rolls out, once it becomes fully operational. Verse 20, the breath of our nostrils, the anointed of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai, was taken in their pits, of whom we said, under his shadow we shall live among the heathen. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwelleth in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken, and thou shalt make thyself naked. You see? So the daughter of Edom, that's talking about right here, America, Babylon the Great. You see? Because these Edomites, like the elders always get into, ever since the Renaissance, they have not been going under the title of Edomites. They haven't been going by their biblical identity. They've been going by the name of whatever nation they conquered. That's why the scripture says they call their lands after their names. Not their lands as in the sense that they own them, but the lands that they stolen from other nations. So if once they stole those parts of so-called Europe, which is basically an extension of Asia from Jake, all right, they became the British, the Scots, the Irish, all right, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Germans, the Russians, the list goes on. But the point is, the Lord is basically going to pass the cup of trembling and tribulation and the curses unto Esau, because Jake has already drunk of it. And that's what this is going into when it says the cup shall pass through unto thee. Verse 22, the punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion, which is talking about Israel. Zion is a nickname for Jerusalem, a people before a place. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. You see? So Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai, he's basically going to no more put us in captivity. All right? For you jakes that keep crying about slavery. The Lord is literally telling you he only did it because you went off. And if you stop going off, he'll heal your land. So stop crying about that and just get on page, man. Get on cue. For those of you brothers that are hopeful elect that may be of that scoffing crowd always crying about, well, where was the Lord in slavery? Adawan Ratazar, you repent as soon as possible. But don't be like the 2/3 that keep complaining about that and being selectively outraged. All right? You got to be serious, because Esau's coming down with great wrath, knowing he had but a short time. All right? But that's all I have with this epistle. Once again, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harachak Wadash. Double honor as always to our beloved elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, who rule well, who teach well, who we learn the truth from daily, whether you hear forbearance. Sincere citation as always to the rest of the hopeful elected of the nation of Israel, which consists of our sincere elders and Akim of Great Millstone, the Akim on down that teach the likewise doctrine, in all truth and sincerity with diligence, the speckled bird, Hebrew Israelite foreigner scattered among the heathen, that look like the heathen, the sincere Akim of the nation of Israel that rehearse the righteous acts of Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai in truth and sincerity, and the sincere Akwath that listen in silence and meekness as the scriptures command to do so. Kwame Sharala and Abba Babal. We're almost out of here. Adawan Ratazar. We got next Adawan Ratazar. Shema Yasha'Allah Yahweh Alahayanawa Yahweh Achad wa Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Harachak Wadash Baba Kusha Baba Kusha Baba Kusha Shemai Tapalathia Shalach Rayam wa Ainashim wa Haragyam wa Ashim wa Abadim wa Mawathiam wa Mashapayim Al-Kal Arawamiam wa Gawayam wa Ayabyam Nawa wa Babal wa Babal wa Babal wa Babal Aitha the water Tamyad Tawab Aman. Shabbat Shalom.